All right, no fluff, no hype, no make 10K in a week nonsense, just some honest advice that can save you months of pain and a whole lot of money when starting an online store in Australia. My name's Andy and I created a multi-six-figure business from scratch, from the corner of an apartment, while working full-time in Australia. If anyone tells you it's going to be easy, then they're full of it and you can instantly disregard what they have to say because it's bloody hard, but it's so worth it, and I'm going to make it a little bit less hard for you with these 10 easy points. Okay, so let's kick things off with the most common wake-up call. You will make lower profit margins than you think. So I'm not saying you're going to make less profit than you think, but you'll have smaller margins than you think. So when I first started my first online store, I thought, okay, I'm buying the products for $20 each and I'm selling them for 40. So I'm doubling my money. Lovely jubbly. That's easy maths and easy money. I made some sales, and then at the end of the financial year, tax return time came round and I'd somehow lost $2,000. So I was like, where's all the money gone, you know? So your product might sell for $40, meaning you make $20 gross profit. But once you take out platform fees, shipping fees, packaging costs, payment processing fees, advertising costs, plus all the little random costs like software, Google Suite or whatever, you might be left with like $10 in actual net profit if you're lucky, or maybe like $5 net profit for products. And if any of those costs I just mentioned were to rise a little bit, let's say you have a bad month with your Facebook ads, for example, you can actually end up losing money. But that doesn't mean it's not worth it. It just means you need to price properly. You need to watch your costs like a hawk and expect those margins to be tight, especially in the beginning. And it will probably mean that you'll need to make more revenue than you were planning. All right, point number 2, you will make more revenue than you were planning. So if you do get things right, sales can and will grow faster than you expect. So for that same business I just mentioned, before I started, I used to think, okay, right, I need 60 grand profit per year to leave my day job. So working backwards, I thought, right, that's 3,000 products sold at $20 profit per product, right? So, but my profit margins just weren't that good. So, but when things did start working, I made more sales than I expected. So the route to 60K changed and it ended up looking more like 4,000 sales at $15 profit per product to get to that 60K. Now, I get if you're just starting out and you're not making any sales yet, that might seem an insurmountable number. 4,000 units sold, but that's only 77 products sold per week, or like 11 per day. And if your average order ends up being sort of 1.5 products per order, because a lot of your customers will order more than one, right? So let's say half your customers order one item and the other half of your customers order 2 items, you've got an average basket size of 1.5 items, okay? So to sell 11, that's only like 7 orders a day. That's perfectly achievable. But you need to know what your profit margin is. And that's why point number 3 is you have to know your numbers. So I'm not just talking about sales, I'm talking about gross profit, net profit, ad spend, cost of goods sold, shipping costs, even like packaging costs. Like a decent packaging box might cost you $1 these days, and that will add up, right? Okay, so it's not such a big deal if you're selling premium products, but if you're selling goods under like $50, you have to be so careful with your costs. You also have to think about GST if you're registered for GST, which I don't recommend at the start, as you don't legally have to until you're doing 75K revenue per year. But making $1,000 revenue in a weekend feels great until you realize that, okay, well, my cost of goods was 500, Facebook ads was 100, ATO one's 100, like, you get the point, right? And that's why, and I apologize to regular viewers for sounding like a broken record here, you need accounting software. It was only after syncing my accounts to some software in my second year of business that I actually understood like what the F was actually going on with my business. And if maths isn't your strong suit, you'll love it even more because it will literally give you all your margins and percentages and everything you need to know. So let's say you're making $20 gross profit per item, but only $2 net profit. It will make it so easy for you to understand where that other $18 is buggered off to, basically. I've always used Xero, and it's the one I recommend to friends and family. There's a link in the description of this video that will get you 90% off for the first 6 months. So basically it'll cost you the same as a cup of coffee each month. It's an affiliate link. but I've been a Xero fanboy for over a decade now, so I have absolutely no qualms about recommending you to check it out. Link in description. All right, so let's talk about something uniquely painful to Australia: shipping. It can make or break you. And I'm sorry if I've been really negative so far in this video. E-commerce is awesome. Like in my late 20s, it allowed me to not need a job and go on like multiple 6-week holidays in Europe, Oktoberfest, sail Croatia, all that good stuff. We even rented a little private island in the Philippines for my 30th birthday, which doesn't cost as much as you'd expect. And all I had to do each morning was like climb up this little hill to a shack at the top to get like a little bit of mobile internet signal, send a few emails, then climb back down to have breakfast and probably beers with my mates. And that's it, proper 4-hour work week style. Never had to plead with some middle manager for time off, and it's proper fulfilling, building your own business rather than helping build a business for some like random billionaire who doesn't even know you exist. But I just want to make sure you know the harsh realities that you will face, because a pet peeve of mine is those ads you see that make out it's really easy, because I think when people realize it's not really easy, they can feel like they're just not good enough and then give up. But you are good enough, so just keep going, but just have your eyes open. That's all I'm saying. So where was I? Right, shipping costs. So Australia is massive. Our population is spread out, and I can say that because I'm a citizen now. And Auspost is not known for being cheap. Parcel costs are reasonable for weights under 500 grams, and then they jump up significantly. And then they jump up again at 1 kilogram and then at 3 kilograms. So you really have to think about that when you're choosing products to sell and setting the price that you need to charge in order to make some decent profit. Also, if your product weighs 450 grams, don't go putting some fancy packaging on it that's going to make it weigh 550 grams, because it's going to cost you literally a few dollars extra for every order you sell. Especially if you're in Melbourne, for example, and you're getting orders from like Northern Territory or WA. I grew up in UK, and it's completely different there because the whole country is like the size of one Australian state, basically. So shipping costs are less of a consideration there, but in Australia, it's a big consideration. While we're on the topic, here's a term you maybe have not heard before, but it's one you need to get to grips with: cubic weight. So cubic weight is a shipping calculation that reflects how much space a package takes up by using its dimensions to determine a weight rather than how much it actually weighs. So that means a feather light product in a large box could end up costing you more than like shipping a little brick in a small box. So the example I always use is bean bags. You might think, yeah, I can sell bean bags. They're fairly light, so they'll be cheap to ship. But because they're so large, they'll have a really high cubic weight and cost a fortune to ship, at least with Auspost anyway, which kind of makes sense, right? Because they'll end up taking up more space in the back of the trucks. But if you're dead set on selling large products like, I don't know, golf sets, golf club sets, or barbecues, then Auspost probably isn't for you anyway, and you'll need to get quotes from other couriers. Just know that that's going to be a large cost for you. So when you're choosing packaging for your products, make sure you're thinking about cubic weight, and I'll put a link to a free cubic weight calculator in the description of this video. So for example, I had an item that was an unusual shape and it would have needed a large box, which would have then had a big cubic weight and cost a lot to ship. So I actually worked with a custom box factory, and I got this made to measure box, which, as you can see, it's a funny shape, and that actually weighs 490 grams cubic weight, and the product's like 400 grams, so perfect, because they'll always go whichever's highest out of the two. So it was under 500 grams. Happy days. In Australia, you can still get away with passing on some shipping costs to customers. Maybe you can offer free delivery over a certain amount, but that may change in the future because thanks to Amazon coming in with all their free delivery and stuff. The reason I say that is that Amazon are further ahead in the UK than they are in Australia, and free delivery there has basically become the norm. So one day people in Australia could start expecting it as standard as well. Amazon is also definitely an option for you when it comes to shipping, but they also set their prices by whether it can fit in a small box, medium box, large box, etc. Nothing wrong with using Amazon for fulfillment at all, but when you're just starting out and testing things out on a small scale, I feel like using Auspost is a bit more accessible. Then once you've got some proven winners, that's when Amazon starts to make more sense. You'll want to get an Auspost credit account as soon as possible for much cheaper rates. As far as I know, they still want you to be sending a minimum number of packages in order to get a credit account, but you can big yourself up a bit, to be honest. Like, I think when I did it, it was 500 parcels per year, but I wasn't sending that many. But I spoke to them just after Christmas, which is obviously busy. And I went, oh, look at my last 2 months of sale, extrapolate that over a year. We're selling heaps, mate. And that worked, right? But that was many years ago, so I don't know if it's still the same now. If anyone's gone through the process recently, let us all know in the comments, please. There obviously are other couriers, but some are terrible. A lot of them operate a franchise model, so the quality of deliveries at your customer's end can vary a lot. Like in a previous house I used to live in, one of the local couriers was so useless that I actually refused to order from any online store that used them. I won't name names, but I was like, couriers, please stop losing my parcels, man. If you're finding this useful so far, please do me a solid and give it a like. It's like buying me a virtual pint, and definitely hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one. All right, custom goods, they can be a trap. Right, so personalized gift, engraved items, custom made anything, they're really popular and they do sell. As a small seller, offering personalized goods has to be one of the easiest ways to stand out against like much bigger businesses, and people will pay more for custom goods. But tread carefully, because custom orders mean more time, more complexity, and more room for error. So at first it's fine, but when you're spending hours engraving each item or managing custom requests and dealing with like picky customers, it becomes unscalable. So you can end up not running a business anymore, and you end up just sort of like working in a factory that you've built for yourself. So if you do go the custom route, I recommend going super premium. For example, if each order takes you an hour to like process and customize, but you're making $100 margin, that sounds pretty good to me. Just plan early for how you'll automate or outsource the process when sales grow. Like what happens if each order takes an hour, but you get 20 orders in a day? How are you going to handle that? Or if you're going to sell custom goods at the lower end of the scale, you really need to get your equipment and your processes nailed down. I did a t-shirt printing business for a little while. Great way to learn the ropes, but it got to the point in the end that when an order came in, it was like a pain in the ass. I was like, now I've got to make that t-shirt, which is obviously the opposite of how you should be feeling when you make a sale. Hence why that business didn't last too long. All right, number 6, trust. Easy for you to say, Andy. Here's the most common mistake I see on Aussie online stores: lack of trust. So you can have the best product in the world, but if your website looks dodgy, no one's buying. So here's how you build trust fast. Get a decent looking website. If you want to sell online and take payments online, get a Shopify store. Back in the day, there used to be a few options to choose from, but these days, Shopify is just so powerful at the same time as being super user-friendly. The competition doesn't even come close anymore. I've managed to get a link for you guys, which is in the description of this video. They will get you a free trial and then 3 months of Shopify for $1 a month, which is mad. It's an affiliate link, but I've been using Shopify and loving Shopify since 2014. It's banging. I can't recommend it enough. Secondly, use a real domain name. As good as Shopify is, if I come across a store that's called like johnsfootballstore.myshopify.com, I'm definitely going to assume it's not a serious business, or worse, I might think it's a scam. So go grab a .com or a .com.au domain name. They're pretty cheap, and it takes about 2 minutes to link to your Shopify store. I've got a whole video coming soon all about domain names in Australia, so make sure you're subscribed to see that. Also, add a business phone number and stick it somewhere very visible on your store, preferably in the header so it shows on every page. 99.9% of your customers will never use it, but just knowing it's there in case they do need to contact you will make them feel so much more confident about ordering from you. If you can, get a virtual landline and have it forwarded to your phone. Firstly, I think landlines just look more professional, and secondly, you don't really want to be like posting your personal mobile number on the internet if you can help it. Then create a real About Us page with your face and your story. Works in a similar way to seeing your phone number, just helps people feel more confident that you're not a scam artist. You can show social proof, so reviews, testimonials, even screenshots of like happy comments. If you're fortunate enough to have a good social media following already, find a way to display that on your store page. This all obviously gets a lot easier over time when you have real genuine following, but if you're just starting out, even if you've literally got one review, that's better than nothing. So get a screenshot of that on your homepage. I don't really like the idea of making up fake reviews, so you get around that by maybe asking your mates for reviews. That feels a little bit less unethical. If you're just getting started, like, it will all come together more naturally once you've been going for a while, basically. Your site should feel like a legit business then, and not just a side hustle stitched together on a weekend, even if that's what it actually is. Aussie shoppers are cautious cautious, but your customers will be looking for reasons to trust you. They want to buy from you. Just help them out and make it easy for them. All right, the next point you need to get your mindset really clear about is this. This isn't fast money. It's a real business. So the socials are full of, I made 30K in 30 days nonsense. But what they don't mention is the months of testing, failing and spending before that. So like I said earlier, if someone is telling you it's really easy, then particularly if they're also trying to sell you a course in their next sentence, that's usually a pretty clear red flag that you don't need to listen to them anymore and you can unfollow basically. So you've got to treat this like a real business. Show up even when you're not making sales, build systems, track everything. Consistency and patience is everything here. I feel like most people grasp the concept of working hard enough and smart enough, but their downfall is they're not managing to work long enough. So I don't want to put a time frame on it because it's different for everybody, but put it this way, I thought I'd quit my job after 2 months and it took 2 years. So you need to enjoy the process and like love it, the game of it. Otherwise there's just no way you're going to be able to stick at it long enough. If all you want is a bit of quick extra cash, then get a part-time job. There's no shame in that at all. Okay, so let's talk social channels. Want to know one of the fastest ways to burn out? It's trying to do TikTok, Facebook, Insta, Twitter, and YouTube all at once. Pick one platform, maximum 2, that fits your product and audience and commit to it. So for me, it was Facebook. That's because it was 2014 and my target audience was over 30. Then after we'd grown a bit, I added Instagram to the mix. So consistency on one platform and smashing it there beats being average on 5 platforms. Like easily beats it. So pick one, learn what works, tweak your messaging and become the absolute master of it. And then once you've had a bit of growth, or maybe after you've quit your day job or at least gone part-time so you've got more time for your business, then you can start to branch out and add more channels. Now, this next one is tricky and I nearly didn't include it because you need to believe that your first product is going to be the one, but you also need to not get so disappointed and quit the whole thing if it ends up not being the one. So you have to believe your first product is going to work in order to put the required amount of effort in, while also being okay if it doesn't work. So a lot of people go all in on one idea and when it flops, they just give up completely. But that first flop is not really a failure, even though it definitely feel like it in the moment, but it's feedback. So it's data. It's the beginning of learning what works. If you drop $1,000 on something and it comes to nothing, you haven't wasted $1,000. You've spent $1,000 on some extremely hands-on training and education that you can't get from a book. So I remember thinking that I'd got lucky with my first store that properly took off, as it was my first attempt, or at least that's what I was thinking. But then when I thought a little bit more about it, I remembered all the other stuff I tried that absolutely flopped. And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe this is more like the 6th or 7th or even 8th idea. And I'm just an average bloke with no professional e-commerce background. My day job at the time was data entry. Sometimes I'd do a bit of laboring for extra cash, but I wasn't even any good at that, to be honest. I mean, look at me. My hands are softer than a marshmallow in a microwave, mate. Anyway, I digress. My first piece of parting wisdom, and don't worry, I'm not dying. I've just been talking for a while, so we'll wrap this up soon. Build a brand, not just a store. So if you get even a little bit of success, someone will copy you, probably on Temu, probably for $2.19 with free shipping. Anyone can rip off your product, but if you build a good one, no one can rip off your brand. So a brand isn't just a logo, it's the way you speak, it's the problems you solve, it's the community you build. The reason people come back when someone else is cheaper is because if your brand's strong. So if your brand's strong, people will stick with you, and it's the only thing protecting you when the knockoffs arrive. I didn't do this particularly well for one business and I paid the price. So I'll be talking about that soon. So hit subscribe if you want to see me talking about that. Or if you're watching this in the future, it might even be linked around here somewhere. If not, here's a really good video about importing to Australia that's already helped thousands of viewers just like you. And this video will help you understand all the legal bits and pieces you need to do. Don't worry, I make it really easy to understand, and I'll see you there.